What's up, guys? In today's episode of Classic Movies You've Never Seen, so I'll tell you what happened. I'm going to discuss All About Eve, which won Best Picture in 1950. This movie got 14 Academy Award nominations, which is tied with Titanic and La La Land for the most Oscar nominations of all time. So I figured I'd see what the hype was about. I watched this movie. Here's what happens. So the movie opens up at this prestigious award ceremony for theater and Broadway and shit. The old dude on the left is presenting the Baddest Bitch of the Year award, which he mentions is going to the youngest winner ever, Eve Harrington. While the crowd claps and cheers while she accepts the award, they cut to this woman, which, if you've ever been in the presence of a female, you can tell is fucking pissed, but we're not sure why yet. Then they cut to this sassy little bitch, Addison DeWitt. He's a theater critic for the New York Times, so his reviews of plays and actors carry a lot of weight. In real life, he was married to Zsa Zsa Gabor, divorced her, later married her older sister, then killed himself because he said he was bored. So there's that. The movie flashes back to a year or so before the award ceremony. After a show, Eve is sketching around in a back alley behind a theater when this woman, Karen, approaches. Eve says she was just trying to catch a glimpse of the star of the show and her idol, Margot Channing. And Karen's like, oh shit, well I'm actually married to the playwright and Margot's best friend. You should come backstage and I'll introduce you. Margot's getting out of wardrobe and makeup, but she's cool with meeting the fan and invites her to sit down and chat. Eve goes into this whole sob story about how she grew up in a small town in Wisconsin and worked as a secretary around drunkards in a brewery, but she's been a lost baby kitten since her husband died in World War II. She started going to Margot's plays to make herself feel better, and now she goes every fucking day, even though she's poor. Margot takes Eve under her wing and hires her as a personal assistant, and while she's on point and well-liked, she gets too comfortable too fast and is a habitual line stepper. At one point, Eve offers to take Margot's wardrobe to the cleaners. Then Margot finds her posing with her dress in front of a mirror, waving to an imaginary audience. Margot plays it off, but you can tell she's like, bitch, what you doing? Margot's maid, Birdie, is like, I told you that girl was trouble, and Margot's like, yeah, we gotta do something about this. Margot throws a big-ass birthday party for her boyfriend Bill. She's been stressing about the younger and prettier Eve coming up on her spot, and is still the star of a goddamn Broadway show every night. So as her guests, such as Addison and his beard Marilyn Monroe, show up, all she wants to do is turn the fuck up and rip heaters all night. Eve parties low-key and plays the room like a fiddle, networking with industry folks and getting even more people to like her. She finds out Margot's understudy is having a baby soon, so she gets Karen alone and asks if she'll put in a good word to let her be Margot's backup. Karen thinks Margot's being a little paranoid about Eve and still wants to help her out, so she does, and Eve gets the spot. Eve takes it a step further and asks Karen to help her fulfill her dream of getting on the stage just once, and Karen thinks Margot needs a break and an ego check, and figures why the hell not. She convinces Margot to go on a quick trip with her and her husband, but drains the gas tank overnight, keeping them from getting back to New York on time and allowing Eve to play the lead that night. Margot has plenty of heaters on her, so she doesn't care. Eve fucking kills it, and Addison congratulates her for a great performance after the show, although he finds it curious that she invited him to see that specific performance, and why she invited every other theater critic in town when it just so happened to be the one she played in instead of Margot. Eve tries to flirt and play it off, but Addison, being a theater critic, is clearly gay, and is now sinking his teeth into this juicy offstage drama. Margot and Bill get engaged and they go out with Karen and her husband to celebrate. She's heard about Eve's great performance and rave reviews, but she's over the bullshit and wants a good vibes only dinner. Of course, Addison and Eve are having drinks at the same place, and Eve summons Karen to the bathroom. Karen's husband has just written and is about to go into production on a bomb-ass new play, and while Margot is sure to be cast as the lead, Eve threatens to tell everyone about how Karen helped her get on the stage in the first place, and that she better get her husband to cast her in the new play over Margot. Karen returns to the table, and to everyone's surprise, Margot really is over the bullshit and says Eve can have the part. She orders more champagne because she's a badass. Karen can only laugh that she's off the hook, and things are about to be cool again. After months of auditions, Eve's new show is set to premiere. Hours before the show, she and Addison are chatting in her room, and she starts talking a big game and about how she's the shit. Addison says, hey, guess what, bitch? I did my research, and your ass is a motherfucking fraud. You got some Polish-ass name instead of Eve Harrington, you ain't never had no dead-ass husband, and you got kicked out of that brewery job for screwing your boss. You think you got the theater world wrapped around your finger, but the pen is mightier than the sword, bitch, and I got the motherfucking pen. Eve can only say, fuck. Flashback to the award show. Eve's actually a legit actress and earned the award, but since we know that she House of Cards that shit to get her there in the first place, we understand why Margot was so fucking pissed in the beginning. They publicly exchanged pleasantries after the speech, but Margot's veiled words are something like, I hope you choke and die on that award, you slut hoe. Addison asks if Eve is ready to go to the after party in her honor, but knowing that she's a fake skank tramp, she says she's going to go home and pack for her trip to LA the next day. Eve gets home and heads straight to the bar for a nightcap. In the mirror, she's startled to see a young girl passed out in her living room. The girl introduces herself as Phoebe, the president of the Eve Harrington fan club at her Brooklyn high school, and she wanted to interview her for the school paper. She said the maid left the door unlocked and she didn't know how else to reach her. She offers to help make Eve her nightcap for her, and that she can help her pack for her trip. Eve's tired as fuck, so she's like, whatever man, and passes out on the couch. Phoebe goes into Eve's bedroom and picks up the award from earlier that night. Much like how Eve once looked at herself in the mirror with Margot's dress, Phoebe poses in front of the mirror with the award, waving to an imaginary audience. Eve is about to get Eved by Phoebe. The end.